is an India Today exclusive. I'm being joined by world's topmost diplomat, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Antonio Guterres. Many thanks for joining us here on India Today.
It's a great pleasure to be here with you.
You began your visit by going to the Taj Hotel and paying your respect to the victims of 26/11 attacks. And it comes at a time when India still has not got justice when it comes to perpetrators either being booked or being sanctioned by the United Nations Security Council. The recent news of another individual's designation being blocked by China is a concern for India. How do you view the idea of good terrorists, bad terrorists, somebody's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist? The distinctions clearly are a problem in fighting and tackling terrorism, sir.
I think it's necessary to increase international cooperation in fighting terrorism. Terrorism became a global phenomenon. Terrorists are able to move from country to country, from area to area, from Afghanistan to Syria, from Syria to Libya, from Libya to the Sahel, then back to Yemen or Afghanistan. And they use the most sophisticated instruments. Unfortunately, we do not have yet enough international cooperation in relation to fighting against terrorism and in relation to creating the conditions for effective accountability. That is the reason why my first reform when I became Secretary General was the creation of the Office of Counterterrorism. And today the Office has a meaningful capacity to cooperate with Member States and to support Member States, especially in training, in advice, in relation to counterterrorism policies and in relation to the prevention of violent extremism that sometimes is the root of terrorist activities. But we need more international cooperation and we need more accountability.
You spoke about the counterterrorism architecture that has been put in place, but the United Nations and the world is yet to decide on a definition of terrorism itself. In such a scenario, do you think there are challenges in the existing architecture of counterterrorism itself?
There is a problem indeed to have a consensus on the definition of terrorism, and that has to do with politics. But we all know what terrorism is, so that does not, in my opinion, make it difficult for us to work together effectively against terrorism. What we need is, as I said, much more international cooperation in the fight against terrorism, and we cannot accept the geopolitical divides to make the fight against terrorism kind of in different compartments, because the terrorists are global, so we need to have a global response. And the problems that exist in relation to the definition are problems that have to do with, I would say, some internal questions in some states, but that is not a reason not to be effective in fighting terrorism.